if you have ever considered starting a side hustle, maybe you're looking for that one final push or you're looking for a sign to get started, this video is for you. If there is one thing and one thing only that I'm passionate about, it is creating opportunities for yourself. And side hustles are a very feasible means to doing that. Now, everyone has a different reason for why they might want to start a side hustle. It could be for money, it could be a creative outlet, it could be to start a fully fledged business. And for some people, side hustles start completely unexpectedly and without any intention of them becoming a side hustle or side gig. But whatever your reasons for starting a side hustle might be, there are so many benefits, and in fact, I can't really think of any downsides to having a side hustle. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the unexpected and surprising benefits of having a side hustle. You're probably familiar with the general pros of a side hustle, like you will learn new skills, you might meet new people, you'll earn some money, whether that's passively or just money on the side. But there are some hidden benefits to having a side hustle that I truly believe have the potential to change your life. And just to set some context, by Google's definition, a side hustle is an additional job that a person takes in addition to their primary job in order to supplement their income. But I don't think people start side hustles just to supplement their income. It could be because you have a hobby or a specific skill set that organically turns into a side hustle. You may not have intended it to be. And yes, for some people, the idea is to complement their income, earn passive income, and over time, possibly build a fully fledged business and be their own boss. For me, the thing that separates a side hustle to any other forms of earning money is that it's often something that you have a keen interest in. It's something that you like, it's something that you enjoy, and that's often why side hustles start as passion projects. And if you think about it, that's a really good thing, because if you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to do a good job of it, you're going to enjoy your time while you're doing it, and if the thing you like can also earn you money, then that is a win-win situation. There is no shortage of side hustle ideas in 2022, and here are some examples. A little bit about my background with side hustles. I have had countless side hustles since I was about 23, so that's almost 10 years ago, which is crazy. Started getting into experimenting with things on the side outside of my job pretty early into my career. I probably can't remember everything I've tried, but here are some of the things that I do remember. So I have previously created a website for matching non-profits or charities with skills professionals. I have had multiple YouTube channels. I've had YouTube channels where I just vlog my life. I've had YouTube channels where I make content about running and content about working from home. I have tried a dropshipping business with multiple products. I've ordered samples, I've set up my website, I've done a cost analysis of setting up an e-commerce store that is not dropshipping and I'm actually buying the inventory and getting it created myself. I have started a running blog to document my journey with training for a marathon. I have done videography. I'm not a fantastic videographer, but I offered my services to film videos for charities because they don't have the resources or money to pay for someone. And I've also founded 2 tech startups that actually became more than a side hustle. One actually ended up becoming a full-time job for me for a couple of years, and the other was something that I did for quite a while in addition to my full-time job. And my current side hustles are content creation on YouTube and on TikTok, a little bit on Instagram and other social channels, and I do some startup advisory work. I do some freelancing where I advise startups on product management related things, and I also do mentoring for people interested in getting into tech and startups. Now, if you're wondering, Anika, what happened to your various side hustles? How come you started so many things over the last several years and so many of them haven't stuck around? Like, what a waste of time. Well, I'm gonna tell you why and what happened to some of them a little bit later in this video. Okay, and the first surprising benefit of having a side hustle is that you will become better at time management and you will use your time more effectively. Now, you're probably thinking, hold on, I already have a job. that pays my bills. I already have other responsibilities in my life, and now I'm going to be doing a side hustle or a side project that I need to find extra time for. And that's true. You are going to have to find extra time in your day by shuffling things around or taking less time to do something else. That is a little bit of sacrifice. But here's the thing, is because once you commit to something, once you decide that this is important for you and this is something you are going to work on consistently, you will be surprised at how many hours you find in your day that are currently kind of just a waste of time. Think about the amount of time you spend scrolling on your phone, watching TV, when you go to bed really late but you don't really need to, so you wake up late, etc. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up time with friends or people that you care about, or you need to work 24/7. All I'm saying is, when you really decide you want to do something, you will find ways to be productive and use the 24 hours that you have in the most useful way. You'll also become efficient at the things you do because you now know that you have to do this other thing, so you might take less time doing something else. If you're someone who commutes, maybe you just listen to music on your commute. And I love listening to music, by the way, so I'm not saying you have to do this, but as an example, if you wanted to start writing a blog or if you wanted to start a podcast, maybe you could use your commute to write a draft of your blog or write the talking points for your podcast. I can tell you from my own experience that I'm not a morning person. I've always been a night owl. I've inherently always been quite lazy, and I also used to do a lot of planning and less execution. And once I started really getting immersed in the world of side hustles and I started realizing some of the benefits and opportunities they can create for me, they became a non-negotiable in my life. Now I wake up early to get work done for my side hustles before my actual job. And I also put in some time after work. I also put in time between seeing friends. Like, I find random bits of my day where otherwise I would be doing nothing. I would just be sitting on the couch, probably scrolling my phone, doing something mindless and not that meaningful. But now I fill those little pockets of time with doing something productive and something that is benefiting my side hustles. Also, on the topic of time management, there is this principle called Parkinson's Law, which you might be familiar with. And it says that your work will expand to fill the time allotted for its completion. And so this could be work, or this could be any other task that life admin that you have to do. But if you have, let's say, 5 hours after work free every single night, and you decide to watch Netflix with that time, you're probably gonna watch Netflix for 5 hours. But if you say, I need to spend 2 hours of my time after work in the evening working on my side project, therefore I only have 3 hours to watch Netflix, you will probably only spend 3 hours watching Netflix. So it's really just getting smart about how you're spending your time and planning your days to make the most out of your time. The second surprising benefit about having a side hustle is that I personally believe you just become a more interesting person. You know, I think a lot of us don't really want to identify with just our jobs or what we do as a profession. I think especially the generations today, like, don't really want to be doing that, and it doesn't often give us a sense of purpose. And I think that's something that side hustles can really do. They can, one, make you more interesting, but they can also fulfill a sense of purpose that you might be lacking in your official job. It also makes you more interesting because you can probably talk to different types of people depending on what your side hustle is. You'll have knowledge about certain things that you may not otherwise have had, which also allows you to share or discuss or talk to different types of people about that topic. And if you didn't have a given side hustle, that could just be knowledge that you never acquired. There could be people that you just never met. I think side hustles can make you quite a well-rounded person, because in your job you might be focusing on a particular discipline, and that's totally fine. But once you immerse yourself in a side hustle, you are learning something new. You're learning about a particular industry or how to do something or a specific skill set, and you're talking to other people. And I think that in itself just builds this set of skills and experience and knowledge around you that kind of just make you more well-rounded. I personally love talking to people and connecting with people who do lots of interesting things. Like, I'm actually more interested now in people who do stuff around their passion projects, around their interests, who do random creative hobbies on the side. I'm interested more so in that than like what they do as a profession and what their actual job is. And I feel like the world is just moving that way. It means you potentially expand your network. It means you can take part in different types of conversations with different groups of people, and you can immerse yourself in different environments that you otherwise may not have been able to, because as you become more interesting, really all I mean is you become like more well-rounded. The third surprising benefit of starting a side hustle is that you create unexpected opportunities for yourself. Now, that is really quite self-explanatory, but all I really mean to say by that is that once you start immersing yourself in different things, because who knows what your side hustle could be, who knows who you might work with, who you might talk to, who you might have to reach out to, what industry you might learn about, how that could connect the dots for you later down the line, you just don't really know. And I think that's the beauty of side hustles. Like, you don't really know what's going to happen with them. You don't know if they're going to be successful. You don't know that if you start doing something with a given side hustle, that might actually show you you're not interested in it, and therefore that could lead to something else. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I think side hustles are just a means of creating more opportunities for yourself. I think for most people, they are relying on the opportunities given to them by their employer or in that specific profession that they are in for opportunities. But I really think that if you expand your horizons, if you expand your awareness, if you expand your skill set, if you expand your knowledge, if you just expand your awareness of like all the different things you could do with potential side hustles, that is just going to open your mind to all the potential opportunities that are available to you. And once you start immersing yourself in a side hustle or various side hustles, you're going to be acquiring new knowledge. You're going to be potentially talking to different types of people. Let's say if you're starting a drop shipping business, you might end up finding other people that are doing dropshipping businesses in your local area. You could potentially further down the line start a business with them if you really connect with someone. You could start a blog, and if you start a blog, you might meet other bloggers in your area. Maybe you both come up with a really cool business idea later down the track and you end up building that together. Maybe you start content creation and you become really good friends with a few people online who are also content creators and follow you. Maybe you'll inspire someone. Maybe a potential employer will see you when you're creating content. Something that's happened for me is through the content creation that I've done, I have had prospective employers reach out to me with opportunities to work at their companies. And while I haven't been interested in doing so, it's really cool that that has happened. I have so many examples of this from my own life, but to name a few, when I had my first startup, I actually used Shopify, which was an e-commerce platform, of course still is, to run that first startup. And then that experience with using Shopify actually led me to my job at Shopify. I was actually part of the founding team of expanding Shopify to Australia and New Zealand. And the focus in my interview was very, very much on my startup that I had and how I use Shopify as a platform. And I really think without that experience, I wouldn't have potentially got that job. Basically what I'm saying is, as you try different things and you become exposed to different industries and environments and people, your mind just expands. Like, you leave your bubble. Most of us are operating in a bubble the majority of the time, and you need to consciously step out of that bubble. And once you just start looking beyond the things that you have to do on the day-to-day, like with your job and your life responsibilities, and you start exploring these different things, even if it's something you don't have skills in, and you start learning skills about that given thing, like, your mind is just going to become so hyper aware of the various paths you could take, the things you could do, and the people you could meet, and you just don't know what that might lead to. Now, the fourth surprising benefit of having a side hustle is that you're just going to become more curious of a person. And I think curiosity is king. Being curious is again going to lead you down pathways, down opportunities, down potentially meeting different types of people that otherwise you just wouldn't. Once you decide you want a side hustle, and maybe you've already started one or you're looking for your next opportunity, the way that you view everything in the world is going to change. So for example, every time I see anything now, I always think about, how was that thing possible? How does that thing work? I wonder who runs this thing. I wonder how this person got started with this business. If it's someone selling something on Etsy, I'm like, wow, how did they learn the skills to DIY this thing? Oh, I wonder if I could do that. Like, I can't explain it more than just, you just start questioning in a very positive way everything around you, how things work, how they got to be how they are, questioning why they are the way they are if they're not working well, identifying problems, thinking of solutions to problems, like just so many things. When you're curious, you're going to learn. And if you're not learning, then honestly, you are not moving. And being curious can lead to so many good things. Being curious can lead you to realizing that something isn't for you. So maybe you're curious about a given side hustle idea or a particular industry, and then you start researching it and you're like, oh no, that's really not for me. Guess what? You otherwise would not have known that. Or maybe you're curious about something and you realize it's not for you, but then you know someone else who could be interested in that. You would never have connected those dots otherwise. Alternatively, you could be curious about something, but you're not sure if you have the skills to do this particular thing or work in this particular industry or whatever it is. You look into it and you realize, hold on, I don't actually need these qualifications to do this thing. I don't actually need a business degree to start a dropshipping business. I don't really need a computer science degree to work in product management. Whatever it is, like, I don't know, I'm coming up with random examples here, but all I'm saying is once you start dabbling in different types of things, your mind is just going to start identifying opportunities, so it kind of relates to point 3, but just generally thinking about how things work and why they work that way. And when you start being curious, you naturally create opportunities for yourself. And last but not least, the 5th surprising benefit of having a side hustle. This one is very close to my heart, and it is that side hustles can be stepping stones to your ultimate desire or goal or thing that you want. So this is really what is true for me. And coming back to what I said before around why did I start all these various side hustles over the last few years, but now like a lot of them don't exist. I've tried so many things and I shut a lot of them down pretty quickly as well. You could technically say I failed and a lot of those side hustles were not successful. And yes, by some means that is true. But my reason for trying so many different things is because every single one of them is helping me learn something, helping me build on the knowledge and skills and experience from the previous thing. And ultimately, all of that is compounding to get me closer to where I ultimately want to be. I have many reasons why I'm interested in side hustles for my own goals. But one of the reasons is that I know one day I want to be a mom and I want to have kids and I want to be there for my kids. But my career is also very, very important to me. So this is something that's always bothered me since I started my career, which is when I have kids, I'm going to have to take a career break and I'm going to have to leave my job to do that, to be there for my kids. But over the last several years, I've realized, hold on, if I start building a bunch of side projects that could potentially turn into sustainable businesses on the side now, maybe by the time I have kids and I have a family, those could be sustainable businesses that I can lean on and still be immersed with as a means of progressing my career. And so if I have to take a step back from a job that I'm doing, that is okay, because I've kind of created this other career track for myself and I can do that from home. Maybe I can do that with my significant other. And basically it's gonna give me flexibility, it's gonna give me freedom, it's gonna give me control, where I'm not relying on like my employer. As another example, I had my first startup, which again, quote unquote, failed. But if I didn't have that startup, I probably would not have been as successful as I was with my second startup. Because when I had my second startup, a big reason why I was able to get VC and angel investment into that second startup was because I had already tried the first one. And so investors had some confidence that I kind of knew what I was doing and I understood what the world of entrepreneurship was about, and I was resilient enough to want to try it again, and I learned from my mistakes. My second startup experience taught me that I actually need to go and work for a hyper growing tech company and kind of figure out how things work at scale. And that's what I've gone and done. Same with my content creation and YouTube. I've dabbled in YouTube a few times before, like I said, and I've done videography, so that makes me relatively comfortable in front of the camera. It means I know the basics of how to film, I know how to edit. I'm pretty creative when it comes to that kind of thing anyway, because I've experimented with like drawing and arts and all that kind of stuff growing up. So I feel like a lot of my skill set now is kind of just accumulating into what I'm doing today. And now I'm building this audience online through my content creation. And ultimately, when I have my next startup, I think I have a community that I can lean on for feedback and as potential customers as well. So my point for you is, whatever side hustle you try or you start with, it doesn't have to be the be all end all. It can be something that you do just for learning, just for experimentation, for testing to see if you really want to even pursue it. And you might even realize, look, side hustles aren't for me, and that's totally fine, but at least you learned that. And if you just try lots of different things, even if they don't work out, you're gonna learn something along the way. And what you don't know is how the accumulation of all that knowledge and skills and experience is ultimately gonna lead to whatever that thing is that you ultimately want to do. So think of every little side hustle, even the research you might do into a potential side hustle that you want to start, and maybe you don't start it, like that's still a very, very small stepping stone. And I kind of relate trying different side hustles and learning from them to habits. Like, you have lots of small habits that you do consistently every day over a long period of time, and that is more beneficial than you know, going for a workout once this week and then twice next week and then not working out for 3 weeks. You're better off consistently working out 3 days a week for 30 minutes a day, and that's going to get you the results. In a similar way, just dabbling with different types of side projects, learning about different industries and businesses and how they work and how you can start one, whether they fail or they succeed, you're going to be learning something along the way and just exposing yourself to so many new things. And ultimately that is going to accumulate to build an incredible skill set and make you a very well-rounded person. And that's going to help you get the results that you ultimately want. If that is the big goals you have for your life, if that's for your career, or ultimately how you want to spend your time or enjoy your time. So those are my 5 surprising or unexpected benefits for why you should consider having a side hustle. If there is one takeaway you can have from this video, it is that you are in control of creating opportunities for yourself. So thanks again if you got this far, and I'll see you in my next video.